Imagine, the most famous mystery in human history. 2,400 years of expeditions and theories and books and documentaries. Billions of dollars spent searching ocean floors, dozens of candidates proposed from the Caribbean to Antarctica. And at the center of all of it, one man, one philosopher, writing. In Athens in 360 BC, who mentioned this place in two dialogues that together take up perhaps 20 pages. That is all. 20 pages, from which 2,400 years of obsession grew, and the extraordinary thing is, most of the people who have an opinion about Atlantis have never read those 20 pages. So that is where we begin today, with what Plato actually wrote. And you may be surprised. By what it says, and what it does not say. In the Timaeus, Plato introduces the Atlantis story through the figure of Critias, who says the story came from Solon, who heard it from Egyptian priests in Sais, who said Athens itself was founded 9,000 years before Solon's time, and the Atlantis empire existed at the same time, which would place Atlantis at around 9600 BC, the last ice age, long before any civilization we know of, long before writing, long before cities. And yet Plato describes Atlantis as having harbors and canals and temples and armies and a sophisticated political structure. In 9600 BC, this is the first problem with taking the account literally. The technology Plato describes is simply not possible at the date he gives, unless, we have our entire picture of prehistoric human civilization completely wrong, which some people argue, and which we will consider carefully. The geography of Atlantis as Plato describes it is very specific. The empire existed on an island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar in the Atlantic Ocean. The island was described as larger than Libya and Asia combined. An island larger than all of that would be a continent, literally a continent, in the Atlantic, and there is no continent in the Atlantic. The geology of the Atlantic Ocean floor is well mapped. There is no evidence of a sunken continent. Continents do not sink. That is not what geology tells us happens, at least not in the time frame Plato gives. The geography as the second serious obstacle to taking the account literally. The description of the city itself is the most remarkable part of Plato's account. He says the central island had a hill in the middle. On that hill Poseidon had settled with Cleito, a mortal woman. To protect her, he surrounded the hill with rings. 3 rings of sea, 2 rings of land. Perfectly symmetrical concentric circles. Plato gives measurements. He describes the harbor in precise detail. He describes canals connecting the rings, gates and towers, bridges, and a specific metal, orichalcum, covering the inner walls that gleamed like fire. The detail goes far beyond what a philosophical allegory requires. You do not need to specify that the outer ring of water was 3 stadia wide and 1 stadium deep to make a philosophical point about hubris, but Plato did, and nobody has fully explained why. The metals of Atlantis deserve attention. Plato mentions gold, silver, and orichalcum, the most precious metal after gold, that gleamed red-orange like fire. Nobody knows exactly what orichalcum was. Some say a copper-zinc alloy, an early form of brass. Some say a naturally occurring copper-gold alloy. Some say it simply never existed. In 2015, a cargo of ingots was recovered from an ancient shipwreck off the coast of Sicily. The metal was identified as an alloy of copper, zinc, and lead. Some researchers called it orichalcum. It remains disputed, but the shipwreck ingots, are the closest thing to physical evidence of orichalcum that has ever been found. A legendary metal, appearing in an ancient shipwreck, off Sicily, in 2015. The political structure of Atlantis was 10 kings, descendants of Poseidon from his 5 sets of twin sons, each ruling one of 10 provinces. They met every 5 years to administer the laws inscribed on a column of orichalcum in the temple of Poseidon. There was a bull sacrifice. The 10 kings swore oaths not to make war on each other. For a long time it was a good empire. wise, peaceful, just. But then the divine element in their nature was diluted by too much mortal blood. They became greedy, ambitious, warlike. They lost the divine virtue. And then they tried to conquer Athens, and failed, and then the gods destroyed them. The moral is explicit. Power corrupts, especially power without virtue. Plato had already made this point in the Republic. Atlantis is making it again with a story. Plato's Critias breaks off at a particularly significant moment. Zeus has gathered the gods together to address the corruption of Atlantis. He is about to speak, and then the text stops. We have the opening of Zeus's speech, and nothing more. For 2,400 years, scholars have speculated about why. Did Plato die before finishing it? Did he decide the story was complete enough? We do not know. What we have is a fragment, a remarkable, dense, extraordinary fragment, but a fragment, which means anyone who claims to know what Atlantis was or where it was, is working with an incomplete text. The mystery at the heart of Atlantis is that its primary source has no ending. It simply stops. And the silence where the ending should be has been filled with 2,000 years of human imagination.